We are seeing plenty of rainfall and very cold temperatures across the east coast, and the main driver has really been a very thick cloud band stretching right across the east coast. It did bring some very cool temperatures to parts of the NT and inland Queensland over the last few days, so it is bringing that rain right across Queensland, but it is feeding moisture into a coastal trough just off the New South Wales coast, and that's very much where the focus is going to be. The waters across north of Australia are still quite warm, so there's plenty of tropical moisture being fed into that rain system just off Sydney.
So you mentioned Queensland and New South Wales there. Are you able to pinpoint the worst affected areas?
Yeah, so even though we have seen some fairly widespread totals of 40 to 80 millimetres for central and eastern Queensland, the focus is very much across the Sydney and Illawarra regions at the moment. Overnight, we did see more than 220 millimetres south of Wollongong, and this morning, just in the last few hours, we've really seen the rain settle over the Sydney area, with rainfall totals really starting to build. And that's where we do have a severe weather warning that currently stretches all the way from Sydney's northern suburbs down through Sydney and Wollongong and to Ulladulla on the south coast. And so that is for heavy rainfall of 80 to 150 millimetres over 6-hour periods. So Sydney could see more than 200 millimetres this weekend, so quite dangerous conditions out there.
Indeed. Now you're talking about rainfall there, but what about wind and surf conditions?
Yeah, so at the moment, the wind isn't looking too bad, but that will change as this coastal trough really deepens over the next 24 hours. There is currently a strong wind warning for parts of the coastal waters, but that'll be upgraded into a gale warning from tomorrow as this trough really deepens. We are expecting to see these gale force winds for the Hunter, Sydney and Illawarra coasts, and really keeping an eye on the possibility of an east coast low forming tomorrow night or into Monday morning. And as many New South Wales people will know, these small systems can bring very intense winds as well as dangerous surf conditions. So not really great conditions for rock fishing, dangerous conditions for surfing, and we could see some coastal erosion as well, depending on where this low does form.
That being the case, how long are we expecting this wild weather to stay?
Yes, it really depends on where you are. So the good news for those across southeast Queensland, northeast New South Wales, is that this light rain will gradually clear up through today, but we are expecting rain to come back for parts of central northern Queensland from Monday. Could see heavy falls, generally from about Townsville down to about Bundaberg and probably around Gladstone as well. But for those across central and southern New South Wales, this heavy rain will continue all the way into Monday. So looking at multiple days of heavy rainfall, and that does increase the risk of flooding. So we do have a flood watch out for many of those coastal catchments, so we could see minor to possibly major flooding, and that does include the Hawkesbury and Nepean rivers. And even though the rain does ease on Monday, we will see these showers continue through much of next week. So Sydney's in for a run of 7 to 10 days of very showery weather. But even after the rain does stop, we are expecting to see these floodwaters continue to remain quite high.
Now, Jonathan, I'd read that the Weather Bureau had predicted the end of the La Nina weather pattern on June 21st, but then it warned that there's a possibility of it actually returning. Is this what we're starting to see now, this return?
Yeah, so at this stage, we aren't expecting the La Nina to form until kind of the next couple of months, more likely into spring. So we did cancel that La Nina, which we saw over the past summer. At the moment, we are still seeing these above average rainfall, and that's because the waters to the north of Australia are still quite warm, not quite reaching that La Nina threshold. But as you mentioned, there is at least a 50% chance of a third La Nina coming, more likely later this year. But regardless of whether that does form, we are still expecting above average rainfall for much of the east coast for the rest of winter into spring as well. So really keeping an eye on the waters for that third La Nina, a definite possibility.